Guys, it's Ahmed. Welcome back to WDSportz with another interview. And today we've got a baller on our hands, Wilmer. Wilmer, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Wilmer. I'm 22 and I'm currently at university.
Ah, very nice. What are you studying, Wilmer?
Psychology.
Oh, psychology. Hopefully
Yeah.
that'll help you become a good manager one day. Obviously, Wilmer, we're not here for the psychology part. I wish this isn't a revision session for it. We're here to know more about yourself as a footballer, how you got into football. So let's start off with how did you really get into football? What was your first real football memory, if that makes sense?
My first real football memory was probably when I moved to England because I was born in Africa but moved around to different countries. And I moved to England when I was 8 and I joined the team when I was 8. That was my first memory. It was a local team. And I got
Awesome.
into it because my brother was always pushing me to just play football as well because he used to play football.
Was
But yeah.
would you say football was a good gateway for you when you came from Africa and moving into England?
Yeah, it was because when I first came to England, I didn't know anyone. I barely knew how to speak the language, so it was easy to socialize and make new friends and like fit in with everyone else.
Did,
Yeah.
when you first started playing football, because recently it's funny you say this because I was listening to Henri, and Henri talks about his first experiences of playing in England, and it was tough and brutal. When you first came, were you scared of the physical contact at a young age, or were you more willing to go for it?
I was very scared because I never played for a team before, and the team that I was playing for, it was even a year above me, so they were very physical. So I was scared because I didn't know that you have to be physical at football. I just thought it was skills and show what you can do. But yeah, I was very scared.
Was it an instant first love? Was it just like as soon as you got playing, you're like, I love this, or was it something you had to grow to love, if that makes sense?
Now, something I had to grow. It took me a while to actually love football and enjoy it because I felt like I had to play football to socialize more, to please people around me, but I didn't enjoy it at first. But when you actually start to understand football, that's when you're like, oh wow, everything's actually making sense. Like, yeah, it just makes more sense when you actually understand it.
When you were young, would you say that you found your position quite easily, or were you one of those kids who had to move around the pitch? Did you start in goal and move all your way to striker, or did you instantly say, right, I'm going to be a winger and then stay on the wing, or was it something that took a long time to find your position in football?
To be honest, the way I played, every manager knew I was a centre mid, but because I was able to play like I played in every single position. So because I played in every single position, it's like no matter what, I was always playing football, but never centre mid. Not as much as I am now in centre mid because now obviously I established I'm a full on centre mid. But yeah, I used to play in every position.
Where are you currently playing now in your football terms?
Right, right now I play for the uni team. I play semi-pro for Chenix in Northampton. I play for Aki's, which is a Sunday league, but I'm also signed to another Sunday league in London with Babu, William's cousin's team.
Mm.
And I've also got another Saturday team, but I don't really go to it. So I'm signed
It's
to
funny. It's
clubs.
you've got a lot of clubs there. I think you've got more clubs than probably Nicholas and Elka at this rate. It's funny you talk about this because recently we've been talking about a lot of people. How do you balance this term I'm sort of creating called football life and your family life? Do you think you've got a good balance between your family life and football life, or do you think your football life sometimes takes over or your family life takes over because what you just said is you play for a lot of clubs and you're trying to build up your football career?
Yeah, in terms of football and family, it's not really, it doesn't really clash because my family understands how much I love football and what I'll do for football. But in terms of education and football, that clashes more
Hmm.
because finding the balance is probably the hardest thing, especially at uni.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We get a lot of people who come on and talk about that education and stuff like that. With families from some certain different types of background or culture, they sometimes value education more than football. Was that the case when you were growing up, or was it?
That's the case when I was growing up, and that's the case now. Because, as you know, I used to play for Norwich as well.
Mm,
So, when I had my chance for Norwich, it went well or whatever. But my parents didn't let me stay in Norwich because they were like, "Oh, what about your education?"
mm,
Like, I've had so many opportunities to actually go far or stay in one proper academy, but my parents was always like, "What about the education?" So they always took me off because of the education.
mm.
So
How is
yeah.
how is moving around when you are trying to almost make it in the football world? When you're moving from club to club, does it find it hard? Do you find it hard to adjust to, say, the club's culture, the club's type of play, or is it just really simply I find my position and I play it, or is it a lot harder than that?
Mm, I feel like it's quite easy. I always found a position, or they've always found a position for me. Like, I don't think I've been to a club and I felt like, oh, I won't get into this team, or because I feel like the way I play, I'm quite mobile. So a
Mm.
lot of clubs like that. So I like to show off a bit too much as well, but only in the right time. So I feel like they know what I can do. So yeah.
Mm. We you talk about how you were at Norwich at one stage and other clubs similar to that level, and obviously you're not there now. How do you feel about that? Do you feel a bit, forgive me, a bit hard done by that you weren't really given the chance, or do you feel like I gave it my best shot and that's the outcome I'm living with currently?
No, I feel like I was very upset about it for a lot of years because even when I was 18, we was playing in a holiday camp, me and my friends, and I got scouted for Nottingham Forest, and I wasn't able to go because it was too far from Norwich.
Mm.
And it's like I've had different opportunities to make it, but my parents never allowed me, and I was very angry at first. But now I'm a bit more grown. I understand. Oh, education is important, but I just wish like they knew that I could have done education, probably not as high level as I am now, but I could have carried on education to a degree, and I still would have been playing football to a very high degree.
What is your advice for listeners or watchers who are in the football industry and they've been released from their club, or they find themselves almost jobless because they've been released? What is your advice for them to keep on going and just keep on trying?
No matter where you are, always have a plan B. Whether football's all your life or you want to balance football and education, no matter what it is, always have your plan B in terms of, say, if you're a full-time footballer right now, always be looking for ways to make money elsewhere because you don't want to be stranded and thinking, oh, say you got a professional contract, but then you got injured. You want to you want to learn new skills. Always have new skills, willing to learn new skills and willing to do something so you're not stranded in one place and like because there's nothing worse than not having a plan B
Mm.
when you need a plan B after plan A has not worked out.
Mm. You talk about obviously playing for high level and low level. What do you think the differences are? Are they like apparent differences in every aspect from the playing style right to the pitches, or is it little differences that make a huge difference?
I think there's a big difference in terms of understanding the game
Mm.
and understanding who you're facing. So I've played lower leagues where they've got some good players, but they don't understand the game. And because they don't understand the game, they won't know how to use the pitch the way it's supposed to be used or how to break down your position. Whereas if you're playing in a higher league or academy or a good league, you just know what to do. It's a mental thing. You don't have to speak of it. You don't have to tell each person you have to do that, you have to do that. But yeah, it's just a big difference in the level of knowledge of football.
Do you think when obviously we had Mark once on and he's a coach manager for Tilbury FC, and he talked about how in the professional game you get more time to develop, train, because it is your profession. is that the case very much with you at university at the moment? You feel like sometimes you have to take a back seat and it affects your football at times?
Yeah, 100%, especially in second year, because I feel like I want to give him my 100%, but then I can't give him my 100% because I'm still in education. And even before I got to university as well, I had a scholarship to go to America, but I didn't know what percentage I got until I got into uni. By then it was already too late because student finance was set up, everything else was set up, so I couldn't leave. But yeah, yeah, I agree with this comment.
Yeah, you discuss uni, and sometimes for me personally, I was part of a five-a-side team at uni. Obviously, I got two left feet myself, so I can't really play. But I played in a more of a social aspect. Do you feel like at university sometimes there are people who just want to play for the social aspect,
Yeah,
and there are people like you? And do you think sometimes they mix well or they don't mix at all?
I'd say they mix well in terms of like you socially getting better with communicating with everyone or like understanding people. But in terms of like when it's competition time, they don't mix well because of the level of understanding or the level of seriousness that some people want to take and some people don't.
Mm. Well, you talk about how, the seriousness of it now. How serious are you taking it during this lockdown this country is, and how are you feeling more that another lockdown for 3 weeks? Do you think that's really going to affect your football, or do you think you have places in step to almost balance that?
To be honest, I took this lockdown as a blessing in terms of since the lockdown has been happening, I've been going running, I've been doing my own fitness, and I feel like there's no distraction. Like I don't have university to go to, I don't have friends that will probably say, "Oh, let's go out, let's do something." Like as much as I love it, it's a good focus point. Today, this morning, I did my 5K run, and I did it in 22 minutes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I did it in 22 minutes, but I felt like, because I even saw Ross Barkley's one, I don't know if it was real or not, but it said 60 minutes. So I know I wasn't even pushing myself to be, to my best ability. So now I've got something that I want to reach, like Ross Barkley's one was 16 minutes. I want to do it like between 17 or 18 minutes. So yeah, I feel like it's a good thing in my opinion, for me. And it gives me time to reach where I needed to reach without any distraction.
Mm. You talk about distraction, and this is another thing that I think is pivotal in young people's age, regardless if football or not, if they play football or not. The power of saying no. Do you think sometimes that affects you? Like sometimes your mate will be like, "Oh, let's go out," when realistically you feel like you should be going training, or do you think you have enough willpower to say no to stuff like that?
I'd be lying if I said I had enough willpower because even sometimes we went out and I had a match the next day. I don't drink, but it's just because that's not I know myself that's not what I should be doing because there's no way you say you want to reach a goal but then you want to go out clubbing. But yeah, I've done that mistake a lot of times, but I've stopped it. But yeah.
And finally, a note I like to leave on is just a bit of advice you got for people who are probably watching this, like I said before, who are in the same position as you or going to be in the same position as you, who are probably trying to study education and football at the same time whilst trying to chase both. What is your advice to them?
My advice to them would be, for me personally, it sounds crazy that I'm signed to like 6 teams, but I've been trying to build a link, and it's been beneficial for me to sign to all these teams because they've introduced me to people that can get me places. Like 2 months ago, I was supposed to go off to Romania to sign a pro contract for a team, but because my managers from lower stuff weren't able to send my video to me on time, I wasn't able to send the video to the guys, so I wasn't able to go. But my whole point was that I played for it was a manager that one of the teams I played for, and he just thought of me when the scout came. So I feel like just build your CV by playing for different teams. Like never stop doing your fitness as well. That's a very key thing. Just, yeah, you have to build a CV to be known because no one wants someone that no one knows about.
That is really good advice, Wilmer. We wish you all the luck here from WDSportz. Hopefully, when you make it, you still keep us in mind and give us an odd shout out there and then when you run to the cameras and celebrate a goal. But yeah, it's been brilliant having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.